Wow, so we learned a lot about Fatima in terms of her mother and stepfather's past in episode 16. Very well acted scene, and like I mentioned on my episode review, I think what really made the scene shine was the fact that this is something we've really wanted from Sisters for years now, and that's to have some of the older relatives, whether it be parents, grandparents, aunties, step parents, whatever, what have you, come into the show to tell their younger relatives, children, whoever, put them straight. Like, look, what you're going through now, I've either been through it or I know how to navigate through it because of experience, or someone I know that I'm close to went through it as well, because I'm tired of seeing you make the same damn mistakes over and over again. It's like you either need to kick this person to the curb, or the both of you put in the work to make it work, because I'm living proof of what happens when you make it through the rough times. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be worth it. And no, I'm not going to sing the theme song. But in any case, from what we learned, Fatima is basically cut from the same cloth as her mother. A gun-toting, yet, street but classy chick. And then the fact that, she was glued to the hip to the street life, as well as her first, I guess her, love at the time, which was Fatima's birth father. Then you had Henry, who came along, and to some extent you could possibly say he was like an Aaron figure, and Mona was kind of like Karen, someone who was with someone who was from the streets. And then this other guy comes along who is, seemingly a square, but shows her the finer things in life, or the different side of the tracks, where, hey, you can have a man who's a good man and, he's financially stable, but also he can love you just like the street dude, but he treats you better than the street dude. It's basically, do you want a life of, thrill and excitement with the guy from the streets, or do you want to have a stable relationship and lifetime in a home with a loving, caring dude who might seem boring, based off, on paper, but at the end of the day, it might be the better life, not just for you, but for your child as well. So at some point, Mona probably realized that, what, yeah, this life isn't for me. So she decided to take Fatima and leave, Fatima's dad and get engaged to Henry. But at some point, she just got drawn back to that street life and cheated on Henry, which led to the engagement being called off. Doesn't that sound familiar? And then it leads to Henry just, sleeping around with women, just whoring himself out because he had his heart broken. Doesn't that sound familiar? And as a result, I guess Mona got to the point where she just started, fighting chicks and whatnot. And one of those women that Henry was with was kind of a Deja-esque kind of character. And that led to them going to therapy, working things out, getting married. And, they made it, So at this point, they're instilling their wisdom into Zach and Fatima. And the thing about it is, I like the fact that they aren't forcing anything. Yeah, you could argue it's like, yeah, well, look at Henry, just calling Zach and going over to his house, trying to talk him into working things out with Fatima. But the thing is, I think it's because Henry just sees a lot of either himself in Zach, or, other people from his past. So he's like, look, I know what you're going through right now, and I just want to give you a cheat sheet. Let me give you the cheat codes on how to maneuver this situation. I mean, there are no shortcuts, but let me tell you, basically, don't do X, Y, and Z, aka dumb, stupid shit. Get to the part where you try to work it out. You sit down, you talk, you put in the work. And if both of you aren't putting in the effort, it's not going to work, which leads to another video I'm about to do about how Zach is the one who's seemingly putting all the effort, where Fatima is just twiddling her thumbs, waiting until she feels like Zach has suffered enough for hurting her. But basically, I really think it boils down to the fact that Zach is sitting across the table from two individuals who actually give a damn. I mean, the fact that Mona was able to turn things around in terms of her perspective of Zach really goes a long way. The fact that she apologized. And when you really think about it, the dinner that Zach had with Fatima's parents is far and away way more effective than the letter writing crap that Miss Lisa had at Karen's apartment, where it was pretty much an anti-Zach sentiment. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it really didn't feel like Fatima was given much in terms of assignment. Like, it just felt like, you know, yeah, Zach is putting in the work, but not really Fatima. That's the thing that I'm kind of just like, okay, come on now. You could argue like her parents were the ones who like got her to go to the dinner, so it's like that's a start. But in terms of effort and admitting to being wrong, it's always Zach, and it's just not adding up to me. I mean, one of these days, if Zach decides, you know what, yeah, I'm not perfect. I come with a lot of baggage, baby mama drama. My past keeps coming up to the front door, but I'm dealing with it step by step. Hey, Fatima, I'm just as surprised as you when shit hits the fan. But the fact that Fatima wants to teach him lessons to make him suffer, I don't think they're a good fit anymore. I mean, they had promise, but it's gotten to the point where it's like, how many tears are you going to shed? How many rough patches before you decide to call it quits? I'm not saying I don't want these two together, but it doesn't seem like, as when I was at Liberty, what would they say about, you know, people who are compatible and incompatible? You got to make sure you're evenly yoked. And it just feels like, if nothing else, Zach is carrying far more weight on his side than Fatima, because it's like, I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to become the right kind of man for me, as opposed to maybe I need to look at some of the things I've been doing wrong. And Zach isn't Ian, and maybe I shouldn't look at every little thing as a red flag that reminds me of Ian and then assume Zach is going to treat me the way he did. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, bless the parents for, you know, showing their past, but I really do hope that Fatima sees that perhaps she needs to change things as well. I mean, based off the story, Mona admitted to her wrongdoings as opposed to just sitting there waiting for Henry to kind of come around. It's interesting to me because it looks like the roles were reversed, because Zach went back to the streets with Connie and then lied about having sex, leading to Fatima, like her stepfather, calling off the engagement and then rushing to sleep with someone else. But, you know, her feelings caused her not to do it. So it's a bit of stubbornness there, but we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. We know they'll be fine eventually, but then things will get goofed up when we get to Sistas season 6 with the fire. So yeah, timeline continuity sucks, doesn't it? Well, with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one.